Hi guys, this is Nell. A couple of months ago, I was filling my internet quota of pointless arguing in social media when a very talented gal sent me a direct message in order to expand on the topic I was pouring my humble opinion on. Among the very valuable recommendations she made, there is this website called GamBreeder, which hosts an artificial intelligence that mix and matches different images to create brand new images. Basically, what you do is to choose two or more images, which the website calls genes, and breed them together. You've got several races, which in this case are categories, and inside each category you've got subcategories to choose from. So you can select your set of genes and hit a button and allow the artificial intelligence perform its magic. You can edit the genes of every children you make, or make sub-children of your child, or play with the amount of influence that each gene has to create more variation. One of the things that I found a little creepy about AI that kind of makes me believe Elon when he says stuff like this.
If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings.
Is a very atypical way it solves problems.
Talk about thinking outside the box. At first, the robot arm had to use its grippers to grab a cube, which it successfully learned to perform. However, in a later experiment, the gripper was crippled, making the robot unable to open its fingers. Scientists expected a pathetic video with the robot trying to push the box around and always failing to pick up the cube. Instead, they have found this. You see it right, instead of using the fingers, the robot finds the perfect angle to smash the hand against the box to force the gripper to open and pick up the box. That is some serious dedication to solving the task at hand. There are many more experiments that went similarly, including a case where the AI found a bug in a physics simulation program to get an edge. With AI research improving at such a rapid pace, it is clearly capable of things that surpasses our wildest imagination, but we have to make sure to formulate our problems with proper caution, because the AI will try to use loopholes instead of common sense to solve them.
So yeah, basically this means that if artificial intelligence evolves the way it is prospected, it's going to become this lamp genie that is going to grant you everything you ask, but you need to be very precise and careful with what you're asking, otherwise you will end up receiving something that you didn't exactly wanted.
Mierda! Soy un narcotraficante colombiano. Rico y poderoso narcotraficante colombiano.
And I noticed a little bit of unexpected behavior on GamBreeder too. Back in the day, when the topic was brand new, everybody was theorizing which ones will be the jobs that will be the first to go. And of course, the usual suspects were accountants or programmers or cashiers, everything that had to do with numbers or calculations or mechanical, kind of automatized sort of jobs. And creative people were super happy, you know, writers and poets, musicians, painters, because, you know, how can a machine possibly come up with creativity? Am I right? I mean, can an algorithm come up with this, or with this, or with this, or my absolute personal favorite to the point of fandom? Of course not, machine. Will you be able to come up with a Baksinski? Of course not. It's kind of a reminder that artificial intelligence does not proceed with human logic, but rather kind of brute force its way into problem solving, which causes some funky stuff like arriving straight up to Beksinski. So yeah, if you can't against them, join them. And before we're able to do that with the new toy that Elon Musk is developing, I tried a little bit of a tiny, small joint venture with Gang Breeder, and here is the process. Okay, so just like we previously stated, once we have our set of genes, we can proceed to create children of the images that we made. And we can pick one of the images that we find more interesting and to keep on working on it. Of course, it has this subtool that allows us to make variations by manipulating the genes with specific sliders. So, as you can see, the more influence a gene has, the radically different the result of the child you make is. You keep on playing with these genes, you keep creating variations, and it gets quite addictive actually. After a while you spend a lot of time in here just moving sliders and hitting the make child button and seeing all the different variations that you can have. And of course you can choose a child from the variations that you're making and delegate the mix and match function to Gang Breeder. So instead of you playing manually with the sliders, you just hit a button that only has two options: generating children that are similar or children that are radically different. Not exactly that radical, but the variations are more different between each other than with the similar option. And of course you can come back to edit genes again over these variations and yeah, keep on playing it. Rinse and repeat right until you find an image that you find interesting enough. So yeah, I kept on making children, keep on playing around this tool until I finally reached a point where I was happy with one of the results. Look at this one. It looks like a sort of very colorful potato, but it's feathery, furry-ish. It's not exactly a bird, but it's not exactly... I don't know, it looks interesting. So what you do is take the image to Photoshop and let your own imagination run wild. Try to make a shape from what you're seeing, the same way you will do when you watch clouds in the sky, and start imagining what kind of shape will suit that particular mess that you're looking at. And the next thing is just gathering references so you can have a better grasp of how the shapes are, using the Gang Breeder mashup of imagery as a base. You can proceed with the normal way you proceed doing illustration and yeah, start transforming it into something that makes actual sense. So yeah, this is a process. Enjoy. I did a couple of more images before I decided to document the process. You can see the original sources, the images in more detail on my Instagram account. And this process is 2 months data. Nowadays, Gang Breeder app looks like this. The interface is now more intuitive, and they add a bonus that is called Art Breeder, which is kind of like the same that Gang Breeder does, but this time the database is filled with character and environment concept art, so you can mix and match images on that specific field, which was very fun to try out, but it kind of like grew old pretty fast. I reckon it is because the database is not large enough to allow for much play and variations yet. So yeah, needs more maturity, so the neural network has its proper training towards kick us out from the creative industry and steal our jobs and the like. But meanwhile that happens, is still a fun thing to add to your workflow and play a little bit and have fun. And I recommend you to try the original Gang Breeder, not exactly a breeder, unless you want the hordes or purists backlashing heavily against you, which believe me is going to happen. So yeah, without further ado, this is it. Thank you for watching and enjoy your day. Bye.